When you get a scrape or a cut or a wound, most people open up their medicine cabinet and grab a tube of Neosporin or antibiotic ointment. However, a lot of people are actually allergic to some of the ingredients in Neosporin, and I happen to be one of them. I break out if I use Neosporin in red blisters, which of course is already on top of a wound, making it extra painful. So I have not used Neosporin in decades. And even if you're not allergic to Neosporin, putting Neosporin on when you've got these strong antibiotics in there, plus it's always in a petroleum base, and we try to stay away from petroleum products as much as possible. And there is studies that can show antibiotic ointments like Neosporin do contribute to the resistance of antibiotics. And for most types of wounds and scrapes and cuts, you do not need something like this. I have been using this homemade antibiotic wound salve for well over, I was actually trying to count the years as we were getting ready to film. I think it's been over 7 years. And I use this on everybody in the family. I use it myself. I actually had a atypical mole on my back that had to be removed 4 different times. And I even take this salve with me to dermatologist appointments when I have to have mole removals and that type of a thing. So the great thing about this is you can use different herbal infused oils if you are growing the herbs yourself. Now, if you're not growing the herbs yourself, we do have resources for you, and those will be in the video description below. So if you caught my video from last week, then you walked with me as we made this calendula infused herbal oil. And so today I will be using a mixture of both the calendula and a lavender infused oil in order to make this salve. So this is really easy and you can customize it. One of the great things is calendula is an excellent herb to use on the skin. It has antimicrobial properties. It's very soothing, and it's also very safe. Both calendula and lavender have been used topically for centuries, so there's no worries about using these, and they are done in a cold pressed olive oil. So these are going to be the base, but there's a lot of different herbs that you could choose to use based on what you may have growing around your garden and your house. Some of the other herbal infused oils that I've used has been yarrow. Yarrow is an excellent herb to use in a topical and especially for wounds. And if you are part of our free summer mini herb source, then you already know all about the wonderful properties of yarrow and using it for wound care, among other things. And if you're not in our summer mini herb course, you definitely want to be. And that link is below where you can sign up as well. So we have got our herbal infused oils here ready to go. And there's a few other base ingredients to this salve. Now, you see what looks like a well-encrusted Pyrex measuring cup here. And that is because I make a lot of our own balms and lotions and homemade items. And so I prefer to just have one cup that has beeswax and all different kinds of butters and coconut oil on it, so that I'm not constantly trying to clean out the ones that I cook with. And so this is my dedicated salve and ointment Pyrex measure here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the scale. Now you can simply use measurements if you want. I find it easier to just use a scale, and we're going to be doing this in ounces. Now don't worry, there is a printable version of this in the blog post that goes into further detail on all the different types of herbs that you can use topically that have antibacteria and antimicrobial properties on them. So make sure that you check that out. And I am going to just go ahead and turn down my double boiler over here that we have heating up. So first off is we are going to put in here 1 ounce of beeswax. Now I like to use the beeswax pellets. I have purchased beeswax from beekeeper friends that is in like big blocks and bars, but beeswax is really hard. So if you have ever tried to grate beeswax, it takes a really long time. So I have learned that I prefer, for just the ease of use, to purchase a pure organic beeswax already in pellet form for me, rather than try to deal with that on my own. So we're going to go ahead and add 1 ounce here of our beeswax pellets. Perfect, right on the money. So we've got 1 ounce of our beeswax pellets. And now we are going to add 1 ounce, and I like to put my solids in first so that those are hitting the warmest part of the double boiler. and I like to use coconut oil. So this video is sponsored by Azure Standard, which is one of my favorite places to get all kinds of stuff from, things that we cook with in bulk, but also some of our medicinal supplies. And coconut oil is one of my favorite bases to use, not only in cooking, but also in my different salves and ointments. And that's because coconut oil itself is also antimicrobial. So you're getting an added benefit and another antimicrobial source into your product when you are using coconut oil. I also like this particular recipe that I'm sharing with you, these measurements of the different ingredients, the solids, the oils, and the beeswax, because of the consistency. So we're going to do 1 ounce of coconut oil. Now, if you have a larger family, you can, of course, double this up. You could triple it up depending on how much you want to have at one time, just keeping the ratios the same. But remember that after you have made this, the shelf life is about a year to 18 months. So I try not to make more than what I think we'll go through in that amount of time. And if you have not used Azure Standard before, you can go to azurestandard.com and use coupon code Melissa10. That's coupon code Melissa10, and you will get 10% off your first order of $50 or more. And the other cool thing is they actually have coconut oil in bulk. And so oftentimes for Christmas, or if I'm making up a bunch of our wood butter that we sell in our general store, I will buy the coconut oil in 5-gallon buckets. So I love that I can get small sizes and also go really large. Okay. Now we are going to be adding in our herbal infused oils. So I'm going to do 1 ounce of the calendula and 1 ounce of the lavender infused oil. So we're after 2 ounces total of our infused herbal oils. Now we are going to transfer this over to our double boiler. So when I do a double boiler, just a really simple, easy way to do it is you want a pot that is larger in circumference than the vessel that you're putting in there. You can use a mason jar. You just want to use some type of glass that is not going to shatter when it comes in contact with simmering water. And then I just put in the bottom of the pot a canning ring that this will sit on so that it's not sitting directly on the heat source on the bottom. And so just go ahead and put this in there, right there. And then that warm water is also coming up the sides just a little bit. And we're going to keep that right at a simmer. You can see it's just steaming and kind of lightly simmering there until all of our beeswax and oils are melted together. So as soon as everything is all the way melted and completely liquefied, you're going to turn off your heat. Make sure that you test how hot this is. I just tested it and it's not going to burn me. We're going to remove it from the heat. And you can see everything is nice and melted and all liquid. Now, adding essential oils, I like to add some essential oils into this salve just to get some other ingredients in there of plants that I don't have to make herbal infused oils and to up the potency. So we want to make sure though that we are letting this cool a little bit before we add our essential oils, because if it's too hot, when you add your essential oils, you're going to get some evaporation, and we want to make sure that everything is at its max potency. So we're going to let this cool. The key is to not let it cool so fast that it begins to solidify so that we get those essential oils in while everything is still liquid and mixed all the way in. So you definitely have your choice of what essential oils to put in. So I have 4 different essential oils that I like to add to mine. So I've already got measured out here 15 drops of frankincense essential oil, 15 drops of melaleuca, or tea tree as it's commonly called, and then I have 15 drops of geranium. And then even though I've got the lavender infused herbal oil in there, I'm also going to add a little bit more of the lavender essential oil. And again, we've got that blog post that has links to all of these different products, as well as a printable version, so you don't have to try and memorize all of the different amounts to make this recipe. So the reason that I chose several of these different essential oils is, one, melaleuca or tea tree essential oil is known as being highly antimicrobial as well as antibacterial. So of course, in some type of wound ointment, we definitely want those properties. Geranium oil is antiseptic. It helps to aid wound healing, and it also has anti-inflammatory responses, I should say. So a lot of times with a wound, we've got some inflamed skin and some pain, and so that is very helpful as well. And then we're going to just up the power of the lavender by adding this essential oil in, because lavender is antioxidant, it's also antimicrobial, and it's very soothing to the skin. So all excellent properties to add, making this a powerhouse of a wound healing ointment. And we're just shy of a tablespoon of all of those essential oils together. And so I am gonna just go ahead and check the temperature of my herbal oil here, or my herbal salve ingredients. Okay, and that is cooling down. Ideally between like 120 to 130 degrees Fahrenheit is where you want to have the temperature of this before adding in those essential oils. And then we're just gonna add that in and stir it. Oh, you guys, it smells so good. Oh my goodness, it could almost be a perfume. It smells so nice. Okay. So now we're gonna pick what we're gonna pour it in. So I like to use glass and or tin. So I have some of these little tins that I use when I'm making our wood butter that we have in the general store, but these also work really good. So I like to use these if you're gonna be putting these in like backpacks or sending them, because glass obviously breaks. So if you're sending these on a backpack or in kids, bags and that type of thing, the tins work really, really well. But for just home use, I always like to use glass. So these are great. These are the wide mouth mason jars. So I like to use the wide mouth because those are going to be easier to clean out later and also to really get into with hands. But these jelly jars also work really well because they're small enough that you can still, get your fingers all the way in there and be able to get this out. So we're going to go ahead and fill these up. I'm going to go ahead and do this tin first. And then this jar, and I probably will have just enough for these 2 vessels. Okay, so after we've got everything in there, you do want to let these cool because this is still fairly warm without any lids on them. So we're going to let these cool until they're totally solidified. Usually takes not super long because these are actually pretty small, but probably an hour or 2. And once they're completely cooled and set, then you can go ahead and put the lid on there, label them, and the date that they were made. So now that these are fully cool, we can go ahead and label them. So I would just use a Sharpie and just write on there, wound healing salve, and the date that it was made. So to use this, you simply just reach in and get some of that out. And you can see just from your body heat, this will soften and then you can just rub it in. Now I like to have it where it's just a little bit of I'm not sure the right word I'm looking for, like a stiffer ointment, if that makes any sense, a little bit more solid. Because that way, if it's too soft and it hits the skin, then it just tends to kind of melt like oil and run everywhere. And I like to really keep it concentrated where I've got the wound. So like if this was a scrape or something like this, I could put this on top and then I can put the Band-Aid over top or the bandage, and it's going to actually sit on that area and then slowly melt and work its way into the wound. So I prefer that. If it's too runny or if it's too soft, like I said, it just tends to kind of run everywhere, and I kind of want to keep it where it's on the actual wound. But the great thing is, you guys, this smells so good. It is amazing. And like I said, I have used for over 7 years. It's one of our favorite recipes. So just use like the back of your fingernail, that type of a thing, to just kind of start to scrape it off, especially when it's just been poured and you have that. Now there's a divot so I can reach in there and get more of this anytime that we need it.